What's going on, family? So, this is my third live video of the day, but this is an interesting subject matter. Let me know what you think. I'm really doing this on my Facebook because I need answers from people who want to get married, people who have been married, people who are currently married. I've never been married before, so I'd like to have this dialogue if anybody wants to chime in. But I've gotten marital advice before from happily married couples. One great guy that I used to work with, he's been married twice. The second marriage is on the money. Met his wife, great lady. He's from originally from Puerto Rico. His wife is from St. Louis, Missouri. They met when they were in the Army. Great couple, power couple, you know. The embodiment of what I would want if I was a married man. And when I say the embodiment of what I would want if I was a married man, because nobody's perfect. Everybody has their flaws, but they look out for each other. They have two kids. They make money moves together. I think that's I always say the sexiest thing on the female is an ambitious female. I'm an ambitious man. So being with an ambitious female is one of the, a woman can look good all day, every day, regardless of whatever the case may be. But when a woman is very ambitious, talented and intelligent, man, you'd be like, that's that one. Okay. And so, and obviously, the older I get, the more I look at things differently, I always say, look, I see beautiful women all the time, especially in my travels, not bragging or anything of that nature, but that's just the way it is. I walk, social media, walk outside, it is what it is. But, the older I get, the more I think about partnership, not just, having fun and things of that nature. Cause I'm a Capricorn. We can have fun by ourselves. We can, I was about to go to Europe. I'm gonna do that next year because of all the craziness going on now, but I could go to Europe. I was about to go to Europe by myself. I went to Canada by myself twice. I've been all around this country by myself a bunch of times. It ain't nothing for me to just go someplace by myself and have a good time. I've gotten used to that in a big way. So, but that's why I said I want to hear from the married men. You put in, whether you see this video now, you see this video later. I want to hear from the married men and the married women, people who have been married, people who were married, people even thinking about getting married. It doesn't even just have to be from people who haven't been married. Like I said, full disclosure, I've never been married, never had children. 42 years old. So I look at things a little bit differently and a little bit more objectively nowadays. But I just will say that, regardless of what anybody wants to say, and listening to John Bryant made me have this mindset to say, and shout out to him. I got to see him talk at InvestFest, and he was just talking about, the pillars of marriage in the world, not just in the United States of America, but around the world. And he was saying basically that he said, look, at the end of the day, marriage started off as a business. It was never in regards to two people being in love. It had nothing to do with two people being in love. It had everything to do with bringing villages and communities together. It ended wars. Okay, like a father would offer his daughter to another kingdom, and for the most part, marriage happened for mostly the people, once again, the well-to-do of whatever society that one may have been in, as far as in higher numbers, because the purpose of it wasn't just the purpose of the marriage was to join unions and to bring peace upon the warring tribes and whatnot, the warring villages, the warring states, the warring nations, as one would say. The best example of this is if you watched old episodes of Games of Thrones. That's that's how it would happen. One example, I forget the name of all the characters because I haven't seen the show in a minute. I didn't even finish the show, but it was a good show. I remember this guy was a pirate, and he was supposed to be marrying one of the queens of the, I believe, the one of the most powerful kingdoms within the show, because the purpose of joining that union, once again, was to bring nations together, and so that they could take on and conquer other nations, other kingdoms, or to say kingdoms at the time. That was the whole purpose of joining those unions and whatnot. And I really like to use, and then, love for the most part came later. Then John Bryan talked about, and I'm gonna get back to this. Then John Bryan talked about, I need to put my sunglasses on because this light is getting on my nerves. But anyways, then John Bryan talked about, then the second pillar of marriage became the spiritual aspect of it. And, basically people only marrying each other. I'm not trying to look cool, even though I do look cool. This light is bright as hell, but it makes everything look clear. But anyways, the spiritual aspect of people, regardless of whatever faith you are, I respect everybody's faith, beliefs, non-beliefs, whatever the case may be. I was raised to respect people for being good people, and whatever other category that you may fall into, that's what it is. But if you're a good person, you're all right in my book. We'll always remember that. And I'm a Capricorn. If I don't ride with you, you're gonna know. So I keep it, most things black and white, either it's this way or that way, but it ain't gonna be scrambled and whatnot like a bunch of eggs. No, we keeping it straight, no chaser. Matter of fact, I'll drink to that. Shout out to Buc-ee's. I was there the last time I went to Houston. But anyways, so back to, people's faith, Judaism, Muslims, Christians, whatever the case may be, whatever spiritual beliefs one may have had, outside of those faiths that I just mentioned. But that was another reason, even in certain parts of the world, people do not marry outside of their faith, and I respect that. Sometimes people don't marry outside of their ethnicity. I respect that. I grew up in the DMV area, so it was always a mixed world growing up in Woodbridge, Virginia. So I've always had the pleasure of being able to respect other people and connect with other people and all that good stuff. But anyways, I'm all over the world, especially with it being big federal government presence and military presence. Shout out to the military. And then after the spiritual aspects, the number 3 part where we're at today, love. So business, spirituality, faith, and love. We're at the 3rd stage of love. Why most people get married. Now, unfortunately, in America, I can't speak for other parts of the world, but in America, and these are numbers, this is not my opinion, these are facts, I'm sticking to the facts. They have the highest divorce population in the world because a lot of people are marrying for love or for very selfish reasons. Not because of their faith, spirituality, religion, not because of a business decision, but because of love. Now me, I have no problem with love. Love is a beautiful thing. Heck, in today's world, we need a lot more love than we've ever had in a long time. And that's why I got the love emojis down on the bottom and whatnot, because we need all the love that we can get around here, because you got a lot of hate, discontent, uptightness, and people on edge in this world. And that's why, unfortunately, I believe that there has been a shooting every day in the United States of America as of October 2025 this year. And it's pretty sad. Anyways, so if you ask me what my principles are, my mindset is, when it comes to marriage, my mindset is it has to be the 2 things, the 2 principles. It has to be love and it has to be business involved. Why is that? Because in my 20s, I only looked at women, and this is total transparency. I only looked at women from 2 standpoints. Is she my type physically? And then number 2, is she a no drama person? Now, I think those are reasonable things for men and women. This isn't just about me talking about females, but I think this is a very reasonable thing to talk about, to want out of somebody. But that 3rd most important aspect that I did not talk about, did not realize, is because I did not think as a facts and figures kind of guy, and I did not have that maturity level yet. The business aspect of it. Now, what do you mean by the business aspect of it? If one brings a good credit score to the table, then that other significant other should be bringing a good credit score to the table. Because then you can put yourself in a great position to be strategic in regards to leveraging other people's money, or what they like to call OPM, other people's money. Being able to leverage credit cards, personal credit, being able to leverage business credit, being able to leverage real estate, being able to leverage home equity lines of credit, being able to leverage universal basic income known as, being able to have a universal basic life insurance or whole life insurance plan in your name and your spouse's name, then being able to leverage owning a business. Leverage is the key word that I'm talking about here when it comes to a real union. That's the thing that I've only learned about in the last couple of years. And that's the main reason why it's like, okay, narrowed down to one specific individual when even the thought of marriage and whatnot. Or, because it's just like, because that is a serious thing. We're talking about a legal document from the state that says your joint, and every state is different and whatnot. But for the most part, a man and woman is joining a union together, and therefore whatever assets or that they acquire within the marriage, if that marriage dissolves, like a business partnership, if it dissolves, then that means the assets in themselves have to be sold off and split 50-50. That's usually how the game goes. And what happens when you sell an asset? The government gets its cut, whether it's the state government, federal government, or local government, not being anti-government. And then a lot of times, depending on the private organization too, like say if you had a individual retirement account or a brokerage account buying stocks and cryptocurrencies and whatnot in a joint account with your marriage partner, if you get divorced, you have to usually split those assets. So therefore that corporation will get a fee at the same time as well. That's just the main reason why I always say make money move so you're going to live broke like a fool, because everything, whether you like it or not, revolves around money, specifically in the United States of America. Regardless of who's in the White House, governor's house, mayor's house. Even when friends own a business and that business dissolves, it could basically be dissolved and shut down amicably to where both partners or all partners say, hey, we're going to split everything 50-50 and we'll walk away. Or you got to get the lawyers involved where you split everything 50-50, but then, of course, the lawyers will get their cut. Hence the saying, businessmen, business people, and lawyers make the world go round. Okay, and the government's just the management of it. Once again, no shade towards the government, no shade towards business people, no shades towards the private sector. Because once again, I say this, I feel like I say this all the time, every time I go live. I don't debate anything unless it involves my health and my wealth. If you want to debate that, let's do it. Anything outside of that, there's no reason to debate that, because I leave that for the children, not the grown-ups. This is grown folks conversation up in here. Okay? So don't let me be like DMX where he's saying, I'm going to lose my mind up in here, up in here. No, I'm just kidding. But anyways, moral of the story is, because I'm not going to be doing this all night, but moral of the story is, the main reason why I feel like I've not gotten married at this point in my life, it's not because I don't truly want to. It's because I know that, and I think a lot of men and women feel the same way. But once again, I need to get other people's opinion. Leave them in the comment section. I don't believe anybody's watching right now, but that's cool. But if you watch this broadcast later, give me your perspective later. But I believe it's just because of the lack of an adult conversation from an economic standpoint. Because whenever that day comes, I'm going to have an adult conversation from an economic standpoint. And questions will be asked of me that I would hope for my prospective partner of being wife. And a lot of questions from me will be asked because I would be the prospective husband. And a lot of people say you sound heartless, you sound bitter, you sound negative. I say it's about when you reach past the age of 40, it ain't about being all that. Reasonable people just need to be realistic and have an adult conversation without getting too many emotions involved. Because if you're truly trying to make these kind of moves in life, which these are very serious things, then these need to be serious conversations outside of just being magically and utterly in love. That's why I'm not a huge advocate. That's why I was never a huge advocate of doing something to that effect when I was younger. Because once again, I'm 42 years old. At 22 years old, I was not going to be able to have this conversation because I did not have the maturity level to have this conversation. At 32 years old, I was not mature enough to have this kind of conversation. Now, maybe certain females in my life were at the time, but I highly doubt that. But I could be wrong because I don't know everything. But the moral of the story is, okay, and I think I will name this rant off of why do you want to get married? I think our list, yeah. You know, why do you want to get married? I think that's a good conversation. And it's not me, once again, I'm not coming at this, rest in peace to Kevin Samuels. I'm not coming at this from that standpoint. I'm not coming at this from shout out to Jason Black. I'm just coming at this from tell me why. And tell me what your expectations. You know, that's the main thing. What are your expectations? Because my mind said the love, it should be a given. Love is a given. Partnership is a given. But what are we building? Where is that beautiful word called evolution? You know, my name on Facebook used to be El Futuro Evolucion. All right. The future is of evolution. Evolution of the future. You evolve or you disappear. Never marry somebody you don't feel like you're going to be able to evolve with. A lot of people marry because of love, because of fear of being alone, or just because out of financial desperation. This would be men and women. But when you walk down that aisle and you see your spouse, your future spouse, you say to yourself, man, we're going to make some moves together. We are joining unions like a king and a queen is bringing the kingdoms together. That's how it should be looked at in my personal thing. That's just me. That's just me. We're bringing the kingdom together. We're going to make some moves. We're going to get it in. We're not going to be basic. We're not peasants. I think too many people have a peasant mindset. And when I say peasant mindset, I'm not talking about money. Okay, because, great example, a lot of entrepreneurs and successful entrepreneurs and successful investors were not always successful. But the mindset that they had was to think outside of the box and do things outside of the box. So they knew that being able to do that, they were going to take a risk and they were taking a chance, but they were ready to do a financial line dance and think outside of the box. And I just implore the young men and women out there to choose wisely, especially nowadays. There's too much economic uncertainty to be making bad choices with the wrong people in regards to kids. And it's never the kid's fault. Remember, having kids with the wrong person. Just remember I said that. Now, a lot of people do a great job of co-parenting. So, once again, I'm not bashing on the great co-parenters. You know, they had kids, it didn't work out, but they do a great job of raising the kid as a co-parent. I'm not knocking the co-parents. What I'm saying is, when I talk about having kids with the wrong person, I'm talking about having kids with the person that is filled with drama. That's the man or the woman, once again. But yeah, that's the title. Why do you want to get married? What are your expectations? Outside of love. Okay? Because you can be in love with somebody and never marry them. So that's why we say, I'm not talking about that. Because a lot of people can be in love with each other and never walk down the aisle. And I mean never sign that piece of paper. Okay? And never live with somebody. Okay? I'm living proof of that. Trust and believe that. I'm living proof of that. So. But yeah, why do you want, because it's just a subject matter that's been on my mind a lot lately. So that's the reason why I'm talking about it. So anyways, on that note, family, do the great 3 free things. Like, share, and subscribe to my YouTube channels, Larry's Anything Goes LLC, Patterson Art Properties LLC. Do that. If you want to contribute to the channel, links will be in the description. Hit up the Cash App, hit up the PayPal, hit up the Venmo. You know, I'm demonetized on all my platforms. So, and will I ever be monetized again? Who knows? But anyways, on Facebook, you can hit me up, give me stars, all that good stuff. But either way, much love and respect to everybody that's always supported me. Monetarily, liking, subscribing, and watching, whatever the case may be. But give me your perspective. Take care. Or as they say in Spanish, bienvenido a la vida. Welcome to the life.